Hi everyone, in this tutorial we're going to talk about conditional statements and in particular the if, else-if and else statements. Now the whole point behind building a dynamic site in PHP is allowing it to create new content for different circumstances and different users, which is why those three statements are so valuable to any PHP developer. Now what we're going to be doing here is displaying a welcome greeting to users, and that welcome greeting is going to change based on the time of day. If the time of day is before 12 o'clock in the afternoon, it's going to display good morning, and any other time it's going to display good afternoon. So to do this, we're going to start with the if statement, and if is looking for a condition to be true, and that condition is that the time is between midnight, which is 00, to 11 o'clock in the afternoon, which will be 11. And if that statement is true, if will then execute a piece of code. If that statement is false, in other words the time doesn't fall between 00 and 11, then we're going to use the else statement, and that statement catches anything which if doesn't say is true, in other words any time outside that parameter. So here I've written out the if statement, and we'll go through this line by line, starting with the first one here. Just like a function, you need to start by writing if and then opening with two brackets, and then inside the brackets are the parameters for the if statement, and in order to run code based on this if statement, those parameters have to be true. The first parameter is looking that the hour, the two-digit hour, is greater than or equal to 00, which it currently is for me, it's 11 o'clock in the morning, and is also less than or equal to 11. If these two statements are true, it then executes this piece of code in between the two curly brackets. Curly brackets are just used to identify the code which needs to be executed if this turns out to be true. Next I've written the else statement. Else doesn't actually require any parameters, as it's just looking for the if statement to be false. In other words, a time that doesn't fall in between its original parameters is caught by else, and else executes any code in between the two curly brackets, and here we've got our afternoon greeting. Now the biggest problem with only using if and else is it only gives us two options. Here we're checking only that the time is between midnight and 11 o'clock in the morning, or if it's not between either of those. If we want to introduce a third parameter, we have to use the else-if statement, and else-if can be used as many times as necessary in between the first if and the last else statement, and this can check for as many different options as we like. So we're going to use the else-if statement to check if the time is between 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and if it is, display good afternoon, and then at any other time display good evening. So you'll notice now that I've changed the code quite a bit and I've introduced the first else-if statement. Here it is here, and it's checking if the hour is greater than or equal to 12 and is also less than or equal to 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And else if works exactly like if. The only difference is we place else in front of the if statement there, and like I said before, this statement, the else if statement, can be used as many times as necessary depending on how specific your search is. And then we've changed the else statement here to display good evening, and else if is displaying good afternoon. Now that we've finished the code, you can save it, and I'm running it on my test server localhost, and as it's 11 o'clock in the morning, you can see PHP is displaying good morning. If you want the code for this tutorial, just follow the link in the underbar.